Okay, so I started out the front, and that brown house is next door, but as you can see, it's pretty private. Down here, you can see there's a little footpath. There's actually a footpath that goes all the way down to the left now. There's a footpath that goes all the way down through the garden, down into the carport. This is the front of the garden. As you can see, the house is super private. And the gardens are absolutely lovely. There's a lot of natives in there, and there's also some ornamentals too. I recently planted some grevilleas and some wattles. And then in this spot here, I paused it for a little bit. This is where I was planning to either put, I'll just pause it for a sec. I was either thinking about putting in a double garage here that then goes down the driveway into the house, or cutting off all of that leafy green. And it is private enough to do it, cutting all of that down, getting a stump grinder, grinding it, and then putting some mulch down and making that into a third car spot or a spot for a trailer or anything like that. So there are two parts of the garden. There's that front one, and then there's this one. So if you did take out all that leafy green, it is really private. And if you're worried about driving up this driveway because it's steep, it's actually not as hard as it looks. There is a trick, and anyone that buys the house, I will share it with you as the previous owners shared it with me. It's actually pretty easy to drive up the driveway. It just looks a bit daunting. So there's a shed. Let me just go back for a sec. There's a shed just here. There's one shed underneath the carport, and the second shed is down in the backyard. And the carport will take 2 cars. I don't use it for 2 cars though. So as you can see, I wanted to really show the garden out the front because it is absolutely beautiful. There's a lot of bromeliads in there as well. And I think there are 5 frangipanis in the garden. There's a red, there's a white, there's a yellow and pink, there's a pink, maybe there's another color. Maybe that's it. Maybe there are 4 colors. And the carport has actually been adjusted. When I moved in, it was not sturdy at all. It was held on by 2 very thin, I don't know what they were, jacks that are holding into the actual guttering. I've put in new stumps that actually hold it up. So as this turns around, let me just pause it for a sec because I can see the messages. The driveway actually handles the rain really, really well because right next to the shed, there's actually a drain and the water goes down. So as long as you keep the carport clear, it handles the rain. So the first year that we were here, the first 2 years we were here, we had heaps of rain and I didn't have any kind of flooding issues at all because everything went down that drain. You do have to make sure that the drain is cleared out though. And you could extend the drain a little bit next to the shed to give it a little bit more space. But this year, when we had, or just the year gone, when we had those massive downfalls, I actually had a lot of boxes and a lot of stuff as it is now lined up all along the wall underneath, up against the house. And because there wasn't enough space for it to hold the rain, it started to build up. So as long as you keep the carport clear, the rain will flow down that guttering. Oh, that plant that I'm focusing on, that actually generates food. It's a monstera and it creates amazing food. And there are all the bromeliads. I kind of wanted to really give people an idea of what the front garden looked like. And there is a fish pond to the right that you might have to look at redoing. So coming into the house, this is all new flooring. And the power point to the TV is just to the right of that green stripy chair. And the previous owners had a couch here up against that wall, and then they had their TV unit up against that red coloured wall you saw as we walked in. Yeah, so down in that corner there is actually a TV outlet. So there are kind of two living spaces here. And the kitchen has been opened up as well. And I will say that anyone that moves in might want to think about replacing those brown doors in the kitchen. Obviously, they're functional, they're fine, but they're just starting to peel off some of the lacquer on the top. So whoever decides to buy the house might want to think about replacing those doors. And those kitchen drawers that you can see, they are a soft close. So they don't slam close, they're a soft closed, they're soft closed drawers. All of those cat runs will be taken down and all the holes will be filled, obviously, and everything will be, it'll all be painted. And the walls have been painted. There's only one area that I haven't finished in one of the rooms because the wardrobe's there. So this is the main bedroom that I use, that we're using as a playroom at the moment. But the outlook is really private because it looks out onto that garden out the front. And this is also new flooring. This one is laminate flooring. And the sliding doors to the wardrobe and also the runners are all down in the shed. And then obviously you can paint over the yellow wall. There was a king-sized bed in here. So this up against that yellow wall, the previous owners had a king-sized bed and they had bedside tables. So it is big enough for a king-sized bed. And this window, so that colouring that you can see on the window, go back for a sec. That, honey, can you please not do that? That stuff on the window, you can see that comes off. It just peels off and it doesn't leave any marks. And there isn't a curtain on here, but I do have the rods. And I do plan on putting the rods up. They're new. All the rods have been replaced recently. So they're all the really nice black rods in all the rooms. I just haven't put it up in this room yet. And the fence that you can see through, that's also brand new. We replaced that, the next door and I replaced that at the end of last year. So that fencing all the way along is brand new. So you won't have to think about replacing that at all. There are animals everywhere. And the air conditioner is brand new as well. That was put in, I think, towards the end of last year. I put it in around December. And the fans are all new in the house as well. Every room in the house now has fans. They only had them in the bedroom and one in this lounge room. So I've replaced them all and put extra ones in as well. And then please excuse the back deck. It is an absolute crazy mess. But the previous owners had it beautiful. They really did. So there's a water tank, which we use. As you can see also, I'll pause it for a sec. The fence has the extra panels on top to create that privacy. So you cannot see next door when you're on this back deck that you can see, and just excuse all the crazy mess. So you've got two decks. You've got this brown deck, which could do with a paint, and the paint that matches the rest of it is down in the shed. And then that cat enclosure will actually be taken down. And this is the view from the back deck. So behind the house is actually someone who just bought, and it's acreage. And just so you all know, there is an easement on both sides of the fence. So there's one on this property and there's one on the property behind. And because of that, they actually can't build behind the house because there's also a creek And as far as I know, the creek has never flooded. And this roofing is all brand new. It was replaced in the storm. Was it last year or the year before? So all of that has been replaced within the last year and a half. And also, let's pause it for a sec. I also had all the guttering along the back, you can see, has all been replaced, and it's been replaced with a much deeper guttering. It was very thin, and so for the first, I think 2 years, it would, when it rained, it would pummel in, it would absolutely team down. So I replaced that with deeper guttering and also had it all watertight. So in the last downfall we had in December this year, it didn't rain through at all. It was fine. It was great. And then the other idea that I had was in this spot here where you can see the water tank and the drawers and also the dryer. The plan that I had was to actually put this as an outdoor laundry, because right behind there you've got the sink. So you could easily put in taps for the laundry. And then there's also a drain underneath, which you can see just underneath the drawers. There's actually a drain there. So it would be really easy to make this into an outdoor laundry, and then perhaps turn the laundry, which you'll see as we go through the house after I've done the backyard, turn that laundry into a pantry for the kitchen. Or the other option, and there are no DAs for any of this work, it's just ideas that I had, was to actually turn the laundry into a bathroom, and then turn the bathroom that's there into an ensuite for a main bedroom that could possibly be extended out the back, because there is flat out the back. Or if you looked at putting a double carport at the top of the driveway, you could extend the 2 smaller rooms into the carport area and then put an ensuite on the back of the house. So they were just a couple of ideas that I was kind of playing around with. But I haven't talked to council to get any approvals or to find out if it's possible. I have had a plumber come out and he said it was possible, but that's all I've done. So the garden beds will be emptied, and so they'll be all clean for you guys to do whatever you want with. They do have new soil. They've just recently been topped up. And as you can see, it's all scrappy because that's the pumpkin vine that grows through that whole entire garden. We've already got about 5 pumpkins off it. And then you've got, I'll just go back. So there are 3 frangipani trees, and when they flower, they are absolutely magnificent. They're beautiful. And then you've got a rosemary. You've also got the compost bin. This is also has nasturtiums, and there's also mint that grows as well. And then the stairs going down, I had to redo because some of the sleepers were starting to rot. So I decided to leave that bottom half for the next owners. So those bottoms, the sleepers right down the end, can be moved for owners to either put paving or to put mulch or to put grass. I thought I would leave that. And then you'll notice as we go down into the backyard that some of the grass, when we moved in, the grass was perfect. It was beautiful. But then I have 2 big dogs, and I also have a kid, and also the pumpkin took over the lawn. I let it go crazy. So between those, all of those, the grass kind of has bare patches in it. That shed is brand new as well, or it's a year old. It was replaced in the storm that we had, that really big one that had hail, that got replaced then as well. All the garden has also been mulched. There's new mulch that has gone down. And then I'll show you underneath the trampoline, you can see all that paved area. That's actually the fire pit. The previous owners built this beautiful paved fire pit area. And then we'll go over the fence line just so you can see. You can see the line of the creek, and it goes all the way up. It's really lovely. And then that's, I'll just go back for a sec. That scrappy looking tree just there is actually the lemon tree. I just pruned it right back. So it will grow fresh lemons, and there's another lemon tree there as well. So you can see underneath there's this really nice paved, it's actually beautiful. He's done a really nice pattern, a paved pattern underneath, and it makes a really nice fire pit. We didn't have a fire pit, so it works really well for the trampoline. And there's another frangipani. And then again, the pumpkin, there's also grevillea, there's a banana. The pawpaw won't be staying. There is a pawpaw in there, but it won't be staying. And there's a lot of natives in that little area down the bottom. So now we're back into the house, and we'll go up to the other end. Into the laundry. So there's a sliding door that goes out into the cat enclosure at the moment, but obviously the cat enclosure won't be there. And then where you can see those shelves, they did have a dryer up there. So it will take a dryer, obviously. There's a lot of space in the laundry. And then that's the kitchen cupboard that's the cupboard from the kitchen. When I redid the kitchen, I moved it around. We took the cupboards and put them in the laundry. And then the separate toilet. If I haven't replaced that toilet seat before we move, it will probably need to be replaced unless someone's handy enough to fix it. And then the bathroom. In the bathroom, the bath is great, the shower is great, the top cabinet is great. The bottom cabinet is fine, but it will probably need to be replaced. And then the shelves I have to hold the towels. You don't have to replace it, but it could probably do with being replaced. It's a little bit warped down the bottom from the water, from the bath coming out. Because we often play with the water in the bath. And then all the floors in the previous owners recently, well, before I moved in, renovated these 3 rooms. So they put in all the new tiling to make sure it all matched. And then this room, so there are 3 rooms here, except I have changed them. I don't know if any of you saw the video. I've actually taken the walls out to make it into one big room, which worked for us just because of our situation. But I've also left the beams when it comes back a bit. I'll show you. I've also left the beams along the top and also down the side. So putting the wall back in would not be that hard to do because I've made sure that we've left the beams in, and also the wall hasn't completely gone. And if you can see that, I haven't taken the whole wall out. I've just taken part of it, and then also that beam at the top you can see. And I've kept all the doors, so if someone did want to make it into 3 individual rooms again, you could do that. And then that wardrobe at the end there on the left, so it looks like there are 3 shelves in the center, and there are. However, there is also a clothes rack at the top of that shelf. So if you wanted it to be a clothes rack, you could just pull those shelves out. They're not held in by anything other than those little shelf hooks. And the sliding doors for those are also down in the shed. And then this wardrobe was in the other bedroom, and I rebuilt this wardrobe when we moved in. And I pulled that wardrobe out to put there, but that was in the walk-in in the 3rd bedroom. And this is just to show you the view from the bedroom is the gardens. And so this is for the 3rd bedroom. There's the clothes rack that you can see. So you can just take those shelves out easily enough. I just wanted to give you a close-up of what they would look like. And then this wardrobe I built myself. So you could easily put another rack at the top and take out those shelves to make it a long hanging wardrobe if you wanted to. I'll show you. Actually, I'll just go back just for a second. So the parts of the room that aren't painted are just around this window, because I couldn't get down to the side between the window and that blue wall. That's what I haven't managed to paint, but everything else has been freshly painted in white, and all the skirting boards have been painted too. So we use this as a sitting room, but obviously the previous owners had this as a third bedroom with a wall. And then, yeah, I'm just showing how I've kept the studs in at the top and also at the side there to give it something to attach to. And then this one's a half wall, and that's a solid beam going in the center, and I've kept the stud on the left-hand side as well, just to make it easier if anyone wants to put in a wall. And the thing about these 4 rooms was that this room here that you can see going outside, that was actually the smallest room of the house. So what I've done is I took out the built-in robe and I moved this wall, which is now the half wall. I actually moved it back to make this the third bedroom, the smaller room, which would be the equivalent of what this room was. But this is the nicest room in the house. And it also has where the chair is, there's also a little nook there that could probably take a built-in robe, or if my plan was to extend out the back, which you could check with council whether it's possible, is to put in the door here to go into the bathroom and create that bathroom into a little ensuite walk-in robe area. And so as you can see, the outlook of the bedroom is much nicer. And this is a north-facing house, so you get the sun coming in, which is really, really nice in winter. And the house is actually cool in summer, except for those stinking hot days. And in winter, I rarely use the heater. So I think this winter I've only used it maybe 3 times, first thing in the morning when it's been freezing cold. But apart from that, this house is actually generally pretty warm. It's got, I think they said 2 or 3 layers of bats in the roof. It's really well insulated in the roof, which is a bit insane, but it makes a really nice house. So in summer, I've only had to run the air conditioner on those really hot days where there's no airflow and it's just really hot. So that's pretty much it. I will pause that there. If anyone has any questions, I will stop the sharing. Okay, so where the drain runs to, I actually don't know where the drain runs to. I never asked that question. I don't know. There is an easement down the back. It doesn't come out into the yard anywhere. It's not like it runs down and then it goes down into the yard. It doesn't do that. So I'm not 100% where it goes. So if someone was ready to go and they were pretty much ready to put an offer in, I might consider doing inspections. I wasn't planning on it, just with everything going on at the moment. No, I probably wouldn't do a floor plan with the dimensions of the rooms. Actually, these 2 rooms I think are exactly the same size. Do you want all the rooms or just the bedrooms to check to see how big the bedrooms are? So yeah, inspections is kind of going to be based on conversations with each people to see. It's not, I wasn't too keen on having 30 people come through the house, so it kind of depends. Yeah, I can definitely do the smaller rooms and possibly the main bedroom. I'll see if the previous owners have the measurements. I don't think they did a floor plan when they did it. So my settlement period, I'm looking at houses at the moment, and I have put in an offer on a house, and there's a lady who, the offer that I put on she needs to be out really soon because her husband is sick. So she actually wants a 30-day settlement. So the settlement period ideally will be short if she accepts my offer. If she doesn't accept my offer and I haven't bought, then the settlement period is preferably to be 90 days. But then the caveat in that is that once it gets to the 90 days, if I haven't found something, then we have to review the settlement date. So it just kind of depends on how flexible people are. I know that's really awkward, but at the moment in this situation, I can't move out without having somewhere to go. And there are so many people that are putting in ridiculous prices on houses because we're all looking for somewhere to live. So my priority is to make sure that I found something, and I'm doing everything I can to do that at the moment. So the address is, I will give you the address. It is 5 Chopin, Chopin Court in Nerang. So you can have a look and see where it is. It's in the Clearwater Estate. The road that it's on, so this is probably, it's 903 meters squared. This is the smallest block in this street. So once you go, I think it's 3-4 houses up, the lady up there, she's got 2 kids and they're on acreage, and then every house up to the end of the street is acres. The ones up the top are 10 acres, I think. And from the street perspective, you've got, on the left-hand side, you've got a husband and wife, and they have a 10-year-old and I think a 17-year-old, 18-year-old, maybe a little bit older. I think she's out of school actually, so she might be in her 20s. Then on the right-hand side, you've got a husband and wife, and they also have a daughter, she's in her 20s, and they have a son who's 10. Then up the next door to them, they've got a young family. Their kids are 10 and I think 8. And then next door to them is another family, and then next door to them, you've got 4 and 3-year-old. And then across the road, they've got 10-year-olds, and I think she's 6, 7 or 8 as well. So this is a very family orientated area, and I can give you the directions, but if you actually take a shortcut through one of the streets, it's a walk to the Jugandan baseball park, which is a massive park. You've got the baseball field, you've got the motocross, like I don't know what they're called, the sand dunes or the dirt dunes that you ride over. And they've also got the kids' playground, and there's also an off-leash dog park as well. So that's pretty good. So Michael, if you want to, let me see if I can capture your number so I can send you a message. Give me a sec, I will put that there. If I don't call you because this hasn't worked, then please just send me an email. Yes, so I said to the lady in regards to an indication of when I'll hear back about the offer. So I told her that I would see how today went and see what came through. And she's basically waiting for me to say, yes, I've sold my house. So she's actually accepted my offer. She's happy with the price that I gave her. Now it's just dependent on whether my house sells and then what the settlement period is for that. But I do have a backup because there's another house, there's actually a winery, which will be amazing, that I'm looking to buy. And he's already moved out. So I think they need 6 weeks because there are tenants in there at the moment. They'll need 6 weeks to move the tenants out. So it kind of depends. And this is why I'm doing it privately as opposed to with an agent, because I feel like there needs to be a bit of communication and open and, having a conversation and being flexible and not having agents kind of trying to make it more about them than it is about the buyer and the seller. Let me just grab your number, Matt, as well. Are there any other questions that you might have? With the easement out the back, it runs just along the back line of the property. There's one on this side and there's one on the other side. So from what I understand, the people that live behind, they were looking at putting in a second dwelling, but they cannot put it directly behind this block because you have to have 3 meters from a creek and 3 meters from an easement to be able to put in any kind of dwelling, and they just don't have the space right behind. So if they were going to do anything, it would be right up the back. But then they haven't got council approval yet, and I'm not sure what they're looking at doing. So just so you know, that is something that they were thinking about. But then the previous owner was also thinking about it, and he had the place for 15 years. If you want to send me an email, if you're interested in viewing in person, and I will see what I can do, please be prepared that the house is not going to be clean because I'm packing boxes at the moment. So you'll have to have a look beyond that. But if there are no other questions, then I'm happy to jump off and then have conversations. If anyone else wants to have a conversation, send me an email with your phone number and I can give you a call. And then we can kind of go from there. Hopefully you got an idea of what the house looks like. That was my plan, was just to give you an idea. And then if you are interested in going forward, we can have a conversation. So it looks like we haven't got any other questions, which is great. I will end the Zoom. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming along and being very patient with doing it this way. I really appreciate it. And yeah, let me know. I will call you, Matt, and Michael. I'll give you a call. And then anyone else, please send me an email with your phone number and I'll give you a call as well. Thanks so much. Bye.